What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Oshin. It's another episode of Oshin's View. Here with Super Engineer, my man GD Fitz BSN in the building.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing tonight? We getting ready to have another good one, man.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about because they forced us. The internet and the whole world forced us to have to talk about this. There's no way we can get past not talking about what went down on the Riverwalk in Alabama.
It was classic.
It was it was a lot to unpack for it, and I'm not going to be politically correct about a lot of things I say tonight. So, you know, it is what it is. You know what side of the fence I'm on, and I'm here to back up why I'm on that side of the fence.
So let's get down to the whole premise of this whole thing. So it seems like it started because the security guard was asking the group that were on the little boat to move their boat so that the riverboat could actually dock and let the people get off the boat.
Yes.
But do you think it was a mix of alcohol that was involved in this situation or a mix of racism that was involved in the situation?
Well, you went straight to racism. It's not. We'll get to that, but I think the steps need to be taken to get to that point.
All right.
Before, of course, first off, there definitely was alcohol involved. Like, that's what I'll say. Why else you on the riverboat and, you know, you out there having a good time. A non-drinker such as myself, I'm going to still have a good time. But for the most part, most people are going to indulge in alcoholic beverage. So, there was definitely alcohol. But then, the hint of entitlement came out.
Okay.
See, that's why I said before the racism kicked in, because there's always that proponent regardless. But let's not skip over the fact of the entitlement. We don't know what was literally said. We just got the gist of what we saw from the video and what we were told that the worker was trying to say to the guy, you know, move your boat. I don't even think his body language even like asked for a swing because he got swung on.
Right.
Like nothing with his body language was demonstrative. Nothing he was doing, because I tried to give it a little bit of hint, like, well, maybe he said something smart to him. It looked like from our vantage point, the worker went over there and said, hey guys, would you mind moving your boat, because you know we got the boat right here, we're trying to move in. And it looks like the guy was like, besides the fact that he didn't do it, he was just like, hey, why don't you try this? Because that's what those people like to do. They like to, instead of complying, they like to give you another alternative that they think what you should do. It looks like he was like pointing at something else, like, no, y'all go around, we'll stay here. I don't know what escalated that whole situation, but the other guy of the European Caucasian persuasion swung on the other guy first. Now, I want to clear up one thing about the infamous hat thrown in the air.
I was getting ready to ask you that. I was like, it looked like the signal was thrown up with the hat.
It wasn't a signal. We had fun with it. We're going to continue to have fun with it. We know with Bobby Shmurda, when he threw the hat up and everything. I'm going to tell you what I got from the hat being thrown up. The hat thrown up was, well, I done lost this job because I'm about to whoop some ass. That's what I took from it. It was you know what, it's no way around this. He just swung on me because he ate the punch.
Right.
Then he said, well, you know what, to hell with this job. And then he let his hat fly, and then he went to work, so to speak. Because he didn't really, you know, do too much. It could have been, I ain't gonna say it could have been a one-on-one, but, you know, the white guy was kind of just going back and forth. But then this mob of thugs jumped on him, and they started beating him up. So you see the one guy run around. He came in trying to be still diplomatic. Those gang of thugs weren't interested in being diplomatic at that point.
Right.
So they start swinging on him. And then Aquaman jumped into business. Now,
I gotta
go
ask
ahead,
this:
go ahead.
did he literally jump off of the riverboat
Oh, you did?
to come and get into the action? All I seen was the guy was actually in the water and just like going Michael Phelps, like coming full speed. You know what I mean? So I don't know where he came off of it.
I saw the angle that you clearly didn't see. I'll show you at our break.
Mm-hmm.
First off, the angle that I saw and that this video footage showed, it looked like he almost tried to walk on water on the first step. Like, we know for sure he was not going to walk on water.
Right.
Only one person did that in human history.
Right.
And that was it. But his first step was like, it appeared that he jumped out. But, you know, people had fun with it, said, oh, he tried to walk on water the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He went into, he swam down, then he starts to go. Boom, boom, boom. Clearly he got over there. And let's not call it what it is. That was not a man. That was a young adult, young boy. Because he was 16 years old. Because I'm not going to let him be called a man all of a sudden. Because that's what they also like to do when it's ours. When once you do anything physical, you're a man.
Yeah, so it can
even
fit
at
the
10
narrative
years
of what
old.
they want, even because it can fit the narrative of what they want you to do.
Exactly. That's just why I'm still calling them thugs. Because those thugs started the fight. Or whatever. Because they weren't patrons anymore. They were thugs. Once you jump on somebody like that, you're a thug.
So who's the initial thug though? Because from my angle, it looked like the 5 culprits that got beat at the end were the thugs.
Well, at that point, this is what it was. Because there's so many angles. This is why I said that video is going to be around forever. You know why? Because we saw, if you were privy enough, you got social media, you can see the different angles. But you know how many people had their phones out? So you know how many angles people have that we didn't even see yet? You see what I'm saying? Like that. Like some people, the footage that I saw when the guy was swimming, the funniest part, not the swimming, the funniest part was the narration of the lady. She was the funniest part to me. Yes. She was like, oh, that boy's swimming to help him. Look at him, like that. That boy gonna get over there. Like she did the play-by-play excellent.
Right.
And that was the most famous one because she was talking with it. The rest of them, you know, you kind of see everybody going. So once the boat docked, first off, they're lucky everybody didn't jump off the boat and just start going. But it was so crazy because it looked like, and this is, I want to throw it back to you. The first group of men and ladies that swung on the guy, they were on a smaller boat. But then it was an older group of fightings there.
And they took it to a whole nother level. They went WWE on them.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, first of all, I'm not even going to ask you how did it start, but I can assume, in my mind, this is what happened. Yeah, they done whipped them boys' ass. And then somebody from their side made a comment back, and then it was like, you better shut up or I'll whoop your ass. And then it looked like it was a bunch of tussling, and then the one guy on that other side swung on the older black gentleman, and then that's when they said, okay, now it's a free-for-all.
Right.
And that was the older generation getting to work. Now, they were fighting with a different purpose.
Yes.
That's for one.
Yes, they were.
Because they're from an older generation. They probably were in their 50s. I know how old I am. They probably got a step on me. They probably were in their high 50s to 60s.
Yep.
So they done seen some stuff. And this was for all those times.
Especially in Alabama.
Oh,
because it's nowhere in the world that, you got to remember, that's still the deep south.
Yes.
So some of the things that we're talking about as a mid-50s, early 60s generational kid, which you are an adult now, it's like, I've been through some things that you haven't seen. Yep. It's very rare, like I have my grandmother still here at 95 years old. So she can tell you a whole lot of stuff that really went down that we didn't see. So when she has even heard of what's been going on in Alabama, and she's like, oh, they deserve it. And I'm like, well, damn, grandma, you don't know what happened. But it goes back to the entitlement part that you were saying earlier. Yep. So I agree with that. Now, back to the ass whooping that proceeded with the older group. Did you see the video with the young lady, looked like she had on like the army fatigue dress when they were getting to work on the woman.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going to happen because it was a tag team match with that one woman.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden Stone Cold came out of nowhere with the
chance. Yeah. Stone Cold came out, and I'm not even going to say like on one hand, because like some comments were, that was a man hitting a woman with a chair, and this one lady, she said on a thread that I was shared on, she said, I don't feel comfortable with the man hitting a woman with a chair. Mm-hmm. So I said, oh, she said, no, what she said was, something doesn't sit right with me with a man hitting a woman with a chair. And I get it this much. So I responded back to her. So does it sit right with you when they used to hang us from trees and the women would make food and bring them drinks and watch them hang like it was an event?
Right.
Did that sit right with you? That comment got about 100 likes. Mm-hmm. People just like, yeah. And it's like, she knows she stepped in it. So.
And to piggyback off of that, right? At the beginning of the video that I seen when the man threw his head up in there, I seen 5 Caucasians attack the one guy.
Yep.
So did it sit?
Caucasian thugs.
Yes. Did it sit right when you seen that woman attack the one guy when it was 5-on-1? Don't reverse the role just because now everybody is in the mix and we ready to go to war. Because that's what it looked like to me.
My thing is this. What happened that day, first off, it was just a behind whooping. Mm-hmm. Because I'm glad nobody got severely hurt. And by severely hurt, nobody died. Nobody had any cranial structure, anything, stuff like that. It was just straight up, yo, you know what? We're just gonna put some hands and feet on you and some chair. Or whatever. Just a little bit of chair. And
a little bit of chair.
Just a little bit of chair. Because at that point he was in the zone. He was just like, everybody gets a chair. You get a seat, everybody gets a seat at that point. So, what's so crazy about that part of the video? When he hit the woman with the chair, they had to jump on him.
Right.
And they had to, and because everybody else kind of got up out of there.
Yeah.
But they was like, okay, we can't let him run away.
You know what was crazy though? Because before hitting the woman with the chair, he was hitting the man with the chair. He hit him like 3 times with the chair. And they just watched like, all right, he hit him with the chair. But when he lined her up and hit her with that, he was like, yo, we got to do our job.
Because he was like, we got it. Point this. He knew, I'm going to tell you like this. Well, he's out now. Mm-hmm. They definitely bailed him out that night, like, you know what I'm saying? Because he knew, he didn't even fight. He was like, I know what it is. We going to jail. It's cool. But he went into jail with his head held high.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And
I think those thugs got arrested as well.
Yeah, they got arrested. The thugs got arrested. I'm pretty sure they made bail. If you got a boat, I'm pretty sure he made bail. Mm-hmm. But the first thing I said about that video was a lot. I said, if only now we can band together like that in all facets of life. Now we get it. We don't want to stand for violence and things like that. I don't like the one thing that we do say, and I'm only saying we because we're a way younger generation than back then. Oh, we're not them. First off, they were tough too. They done lost lives behind fighting and doing stuff too. Because one of the things I said, and I don't want to go too deep off the end. I always said if George Floyd and Eric Garner, if that exact same thing happened in the 60s, they would still be alive. Mm-hmm. You know why they would still be alive? Because they wouldn't have been filming anything. They would have jumped on the cops. Right. They would have said, you know what? We just going to have to go to jail. But we're not going to let you choke him to death right in front of us. George Floyd, that was the knee on the neck. Let him go. Let him go. He can't breathe. We just going, now we're all going to jail. Yep. We're all going to jail. We don't do that. We recorded a murder on camera. So we got to hold that L as a generation. Right. We got to hold that L. And we just imagine, like I said, just imagine if we actually bonded together like that for all facets of life and stop looking for approval outwardly. Mm-hmm. And be like, yo, we're enough. And I put myself in that category at times too, and I do my best with it because I'm not supporting. Why do I have to get a hookup from you, but I don't ask them for a hookup?
Right.
Well, actually I do, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. My man, my homegirl, whoever, you got a business, I'm going to patronize it. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to get it started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get it started. I'm going to help you out and things like that. No, I don't need anything from it. No, let's promote. Let's do something. That's where our strength is at. And like I said, every other ethnicity knows. They prey on the fact black folks, they're never gonna stick together. Mm-hmm. And as long as they don't stick together, the rest of us stay in power. And I know you want to jump in. I just want to get this off. It's almost, in my mind, it's like it's a meeting that goes around. White in first place, whoever you want to put in second, whether it be Chinese or that. Everybody's cool with their position. Mm-hmm. But their position is predicated on let's do everything we can do to keep them from banding together.
I totally agree. I mean, just on a small scale, you look at a lot of the stores, corner stores I'm getting at, right? Mm-hmm. They're owned by a lot of Arabs, mm-hmm. foreigners. So the first thing you're saying is, well, what do? They make sure that their family is all in tune and they're all working together. Literally, if you go up and down in the East Baltimore and you see the strip of Greenmount, all the way from Greenmount all the way up the Northern Parkway, probably about 25 small stores. All of them are owned by the same families. They make sure that they stay in that circle. And what do? They know what we are going to do. We're going to divide, go whichever way they go, but they're still collecting all the money together as one knit group. Whereas we might go and say we're going to open up a soul food spot.
Right next to another soul food spot.
Right next to another soul food spot. Instead of saying, yo, let's go and let's look at a logistic radius where we can balance this whole thing off together. No, I'm going to run Jimmy's Soul Food, and you going to roll Timmy's Soul Food, mm-hmm. and you can compete against me. And now all prices keep going up, and guess what's going to happen?
They going
Door closed. Doors closed, because now you're going to go to the other spot. So yes, I agree with that about the groups, ethnicities, how they stay together.
But the crazy thing is, I'm tired of saying it's easier said than done, because it definitely is. But we just refuse. I get it. This was a great uprising. It was funny. It was emotional. It was a lot of things. Because I felt different emotions through it. It wasn't about the violence part. Mm-hmm. And I'll be clear. I'm not going to say I was against the violence, because sometimes violence begets violence. You set it off. Had you not swung on them, this is where it's at. And then y'all jumped them. Mm-hmm. So y'all got what you asked for.
Right.
You got what you asked for. But it's deeper than that, because one of the higher learning, people started using that as a meme.
Rhymes, yeah.
But they didn't want to play
the second part.
The second part, Ice Cube was like, they still won. And he said, one ass whooping will never compare to 400 and what he said, 19 or 92, whatever the number was, years of captivity. Mm-hmm. To like tell a whole story, like, yo, yeah, we did that, but look where we at. They still own everything around us, mm-hmm. things like that. And I'm just looking like, I'm not gonna say once we get to that point, because it's gonna be hard to get to that point, because we're so brainwashed.
Let's go on a small scale. Let's just use Ocean's View for an example.
All right.
You got a lot of followers and friends that's on your group page. I got a lot of followers as well. But let's just look at the subscribers that we have on Ocean's View.
Facts.
Why haven't we all come together to just say, yo, that's something that we can all band together and just grow that brand? So we can grow this brand and then grow this brand and bring everybody together, because we're all working together.
I got an answer for that.
I'm listening.
The answer is simple. You're never going to be successful off of your friends or your associates. It's strangers that are going to get you there. But the crazy part is, those same friends or associates, when we get to that level, all of a sudden, now don't support me when I don't need your support. Mm-hmm. And that sounds funny, because somebody can always say you always need support. Nah. You know exactly what I'm saying. Because while something is in its grassroots stages, that's when people need to really support because you get to see who's really there for you or not. No, we're not drink champs right now. We're not Joe Budden's podcast. I can name a few more, and that's cool. But I'm confident in our material. I'm confident in our drive that when we get to the point where a network is like, you know what, we're about to put some money behind them and help out and see what they can do on a bigger platform, then all of a sudden I'm just trying to talk things into existence. So what happens? We get the whole Midwest and they rocking with us. So that same number of subscribers you're talking about, just quadruple, just everything. We in the millions. Guess what? Those same people with the so-called want to be that shunned us during the grassroots time. Yo, what's up? Always knew. And by nature, you kind of be like, nah, no, you did. Because people remember who was there to help out and who was there once the ship got up running. And I'm not saying that to threaten anybody or things like that. A lot of that is just
but it's real talk.
It's human nature.
It's human nature, but it's also real talk. And a lot of times we don't like the real. But this is what we mean about what happened in Alabama, to keep it all back to where we were going at. They came together. Those people on the boat probably didn't even know that security guard, probably didn't know what was going on. All they seen was a man of our color was getting beat on by some thugs. And they came to help. And they came together. And yes, it was a violent situation. Nobody wanted to say we wanted to see violence. But that happened because it started from what the group of thugs were doing. But now when you look at something as small as coming together in Baltimore City, I'm using Baltimore because that's where we are, but coming together in Baltimore with a podcast where we're talking about any and everything that you guys like, we want your support. And we ain't begging for it. We would just like to have your support because it's a good thing for us, to keep growing.
And on top of that, like I said, 'cause I don't want to sit on that soapbox for too long, but the whole thing is support doesn't always mean monetary. That needs to be said. It doesn't have to always mean monetary. It doesn't have to always be. See, the new world we live in now, likes, subscribes, sharing, all that does wonders. Shout out to my cousin, Dev Harris, Adonis. He told me, he said he was talking about subscriptions, things like that, because his page is doing crazy because he has a show and everything else. But he was like, I don't care if it's one new person that subscribed, because he said that's one more than I had the day before. So he gave me that kind of tool to be like, look at it this way, because he's already a glass half full type of thinker, and he kind of spreads that, and he's up here doing well. His subscriptions have flown through the roof. Now, granted, he has a lot of personal things going on that are going on great for him. Shout out to Marvel Studios, and keep that on the low. But he's got some things going for him, but I watched the transformation as he was explaining to me what support looks like. And I'm gonna get off of this for a second, but he told me one time we had a conversation and he expressed his displeasure in me not sharing some of his content. And he was just like, and I was just like, people ain't paying attention to me. I had a lot of excuses. And he was like, and that's when he told me what he said. He said, yeah, you can say all that, but maybe just one person would have subscribed if you would have posted. And that would have been one more than I actually had. And I just was like, you know what? I had nothing else to say. And ever since then, I've been super supportive of him. I was thinking about something the other day, because I looked online, I saw it. And this issue, it's not even an issue. It was a conversation of smashing the homies. That can go either way. First of all, before I even get into it, what's your theory? Do you have a rule about smashing a chick that your man or somebody smashed or was dealing with?
If they were in a relationship, I'd probably be like, I can't do that, because and especially it depends on how long the relationship was.
Mm-hmm.
If it was like, a month, y'all was cool, chilling for a month. Hey, it's my turn now. I'm here now, so I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But if it's something when it was like, you was in a relationship for a year or two, something like that, and it was committed long term, and you knew him, couldn't do that.
I speak to that too. I'm gonna say a little longer than a year or two, or whatever. If you were in a committed relationship with her, I'm talking about. I don't know what she's doing.
That's the key.
But I know that you kind of shut it down and you was committed. I'm not going there.
Right.
I'm not going there because, and that's nothing to do with her. That's more so to do with my man. Like, nah,
his feelings there.
His feelings there. It's gonna be that. But if it's the infamous, oh yeah, we just kicking it. Like you said, might be my turn. Now the problem with that is this. That's not smashing the homies. Isn't a rule. It's based in morality, but it's based in your personal morality. And at the end of the day, everybody has different sets of morals. Now you may have some that are similar to somebody else, but it's a different. Everybody has individual, different sets of morals. For me, if you're playing the card of, well, it's just somebody that I'm messing with, it ain't really nothing there, and this is what you're putting out to us, letting us know that ain't really nothing, you don't care, then that's free game. I'm not going to pursue her, but if she's throwing hints, I will give you a heads up. Like, yo, is been throwing some leeway. And that is the fork in the road. Because you better say you like her. You better say, I might feel a way if you do. Because then, whatever decision I make after that, I was aware of your feelings.
Right.
But if you're playing I don't care, I'm Pimp Daddy licious, okay. It's clap time. Time to clap some cheeks.
Right.
Or whatever. Now, the only thing about the whole smashing the homies thing is I did a sucker move before. I clapped this joint, and I didn't tell my man that I did it. And the crazy thing about it is, she went back and told him after I did it like 2 or 3 times, but she did it just to get back to him.
So she used you.
Pretty much. And it was good. But she used me. but she used me, nonetheless. And and he was mad at me for a second. And when we finally spoke.
So hold up, before we go there.
Go ahead.
So did he get back with him?
No. It was never that. It wasn't about upset. He was just mad that when she said it, he wasn't able to be like, I already knew. And you know what? When I was explaining to him, I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because sometimes you just got to give it up completely. There's no nuances. There's no innuendos. I just said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I was wrong. I should have told you as soon as I smacked her. And he was like, that's all I needed to hear. And we got back. Like, we didn't fall out, but it was one of those, I ain't messing with you right now. And he had the right. But then we spoke. And everything's been cool since then. But some people, I ain't gonna talk about women, but dudes be thirst cats. Yo, as soon as a chick threatens to open her legs, all type of morality goes out the window.
Yeah, because it's the power of the PUSSY.
I was listening to that song earlier.
That's the reason why I said it. I was listening to it too. Damn,
you was listening to it?
We were on the same trajectory.
Yo, I definitely was listening to that joint earlier. Sound real country. I see why I didn't listen to it too many times. But, it was cool. Like, Jay and R. Kelly did whatever, but I was just like,
it was weird because, like, I was listening to a lot of different hip hop today because the anniversary is going on. And I was like, let me go listen to this real quick. And I was like, why am I listening to this at work? But I'm listening to the song, right? It's funny.
Like, I literally was just...
But that's what it is. A lot of guys are just, like you just said, they thirsty, man. That's what they do.
No, but his whole thing is this. They thirst cats, but then got excuses for it. Like, my thing is own up to it. If this is what it is, if this is who you are, then own up to it. Because I know one thing, an excuse by any other name is still an excuse. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, yo, if this is who you are, this is how you get down, cool. Because now the grass is cut. We know how you get down.
Right.
So now I know how to move around you. It ain't about being fearful, but it's like, oh, you move like that with no regard for how somebody's going to feel, and you're supposed to, okay, bet. Because most guys then, all right, play ball. This is the move we on now. You see what I'm saying? Like that. So it's just like that. But women, they have a weird set of rules. If you even try to talk to one of them, they will be like, they'll warn you, and then be like, how do you want to talk to my friend? You just try to talk to me. You know what's crazy with that? Because I've been in that situation before. And I straight told the chick, I said, first of all, I didn't even know you was here with her. That's for one. But now that I do, you shot me down. You don't want no parts, so and that's cool. But she's interested. But that's going to be weird. How's it going to be weird? It ain't going to be weird. Like this. You know how I finally beat one of those charges before? I straight told the chick, I said, look here. She was like, did you try to talk to her? Yes, because she is attractive. But guess what? So are you. She wasn't interested, but you were. So what's up? Don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. She thought that was funny and cute or whatever, and we went on for it. I let her handle it on that side.
Yeah,
I let her handle it on that side. Like, come on, after you already say I'm not interested, I don't want to deal with you.
My question is, you didn't smash the first one at first, right?
No.
So why was she mad at all? See, it's different. Like it's different because the original question is, would you smash the homie's ex?
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's different in that situation because all game is all fair because you didn't do nothing yet.
But that's not how women look at it.
Why not?
I don't know we got a woman here, but I'm telling you, I know how, like, we'll have one, but I'm telling you, that's how they get down. If you try to talk to my friend, you can't talk. If you try to talk to me, you can't talk to my friend. Regardless of what outcome I gave you, regardless of any rhythm I did or did not give you, you try to talk to my friend. And that was it. And I'm looking like, if you hang on, I can see, this is the crazy thing, I can see if your friend was busted. If you're busted, and then you try to talk to the good-looking friend, then it's like, okay, this is all over the place. But it's like, yo, both of y'all look good. Okay, I shot my shot. You didn't want no parts. She did.
So let me ask you this question. I'm going back to it because it sounds funny. So this had to happen in the club, right?
It always happens in the club.
Right. So you're in the club, and they all sitting there at the bar, wherever they at. And you went up to one, and that one shot you down. And then you was like, basically the little Dave Chappelle, excuse me, and went over to this one at the same notion in the same moment?
Well, I'm not a drinker, so, you know, if I was I'm only by the bar for a split second. Let me get my water on my soda and get out of here. But it wasn't that. I was dancing with one.
Okay.
No, excuse me. Let me rewind that. I wasn't the one that I tried to talk to. I was kind of hollering her at that, but I can feel the body language. She wasn't interested. It didn't take me long to realize she wasn't interested. I didn't even allow my ego to kick in and be like, what you mean you're not interested? You see all this shit? You know what I'm saying? I didn't even allow that to kick in. I was like, oh yeah, she not feeling me for whatever reason. So, went about my business. Yo, you enjoy the rest of your night. And I left. I didn't buy no drink or nothing. And that wasn't even on the table, but I just was like, all right, see you later. Maybe about 30, 40 minutes later, I didn't see her, but I seen her friend. But I don't know that they together. I grabbed the hand. We started dancing and everything. And I'm into body language. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Because you know when a woman wants you to touch them a certain way or how they dance and they'll come close to you, everything. That's what the rhythm Shorty was giving up. So I started going in the air, giving her the good one-liners and all that. You know, this is when you dancing and you raise it there, you in this part of the air. And you singing some of the song part of with it, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what was playing, but I might have been on some, and I wish I never, just, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And so I was like, yo, so where you from? Then we started kicking it, and we exchanged numbers. And then here comes, who shot you? Oh, so now you gotta talk to my friend. And I was like, oh, y'all two together? She was like, the one that was interested was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, he just tried to talk to me. I said, operative word, tried. And I failed because you weren't interested. And she was like, yeah, but we still together. I just looked at the other one. I was like, seriously? And she was like, she was a woman about us. She was like, girl, I took you for a second. She still gave me the rhythm and the number. That's when I was like, oh, there is a way to beat it. Because there's been times where that same situation happened and the woman be like, well, I can't talk to you now because you trying to talk to my friend. And guess what? I probably dodged a bullet. Mm-hmm. Because if you're that weak, you know what I'm saying, to just follow and go for stuff, to me in my mind, you're not a woman about yours. And I don't need no parts of that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and it gets weird. It gets weird when you have somebody that basically like favoring the friend more than they favoring you, especially if they were interested at one point when y'all were separated. So I get that. You did dodge a bullet there.
Yeah. I'm looking like, it's a whole bunch of that, but it's just like women, like I said, it's already not a lot of y'all on the planet. No, it's way more than
I'm about to say,
it's way more y'all on the planet than us. Mm. So you just keep making the dating pool that much smaller by he's trying to talk to my friend. He's trying to talk to me. He's not tall enough. He's not dark enough. He's not light enough. And then it's just like shrink. Mm-hmm. And now you caught up with meatball over here and you like, that's all that's out here. No, this is all you made out here. Right. Because you shut down the rest of these brothers over here.
Yeah.
So go ahead, ladies, keep shrinking the dating pool all you want. Because we're not changing our
It's no need to change though. To me, it's no need to change. Like you just said, we here. And we the good brothers are in small numbers, let's put it like that. The good educated brothers.
I wanna stay there for a second. Can you call yourself a good man or does somebody else have to say it?
Both. I don't think they have to say it, but you can call yourself a good man. And what is, all right, let me ask you, I'm gonna throw the question back. What do you think is a good man?
It's all subjective. Honestly. And that's why I think, I want to answer it, but just follow me for a second. That's why I think that can only be said by someone else. I don't think you can proclaim yourself a good man. I'm like, normally it's not about how somebody feels about you or what they think about you, because people, I don't care about nobody else, how they think. I know how I think of myself. I believe you have to kind of be stamped by not just that one person, more than a few people. Like that kind of has to be the consensus. This is a good man. This is a good woman. Such. You can't just say, I know I'm a good man. Something has to back it up.
So your way of being raised and your morals don't reflect on what you've been taught to be a good man. I don't know. Maybe it's different for everybody, because I know me coming from a 2-parent home, I watched how my father did it. So it's like I seen what he did. He didn't do nothing wrong to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of the way I do my thing. So I feel as though I'm a good man because I'm doing all of the steps to, that's my viewpoint.
And that's a very good viewpoint, but you have to be careful, because when you make those comments, you open the door for the inverse, the opposite of it.
Okay.
When you say, well, for me, and that's your great example, I have my father, I have my mother in the household, 2-parent household. When you say things like that qualifies you as a good man, you subconsciously is saying, if you didn't grow up with a mother and father, that you're not a good person.
Right.
You see what I'm saying, like that? So
that's why I said
it boils
it's
down,
all on your view. So when you say you can't be viewed on your own viewpoint as being that, you should be told if you were a good man. Yes. So that's why you have to do it. So when you get into multiple relationships, I'm talking about from when you start as a youngin' all the way up until where you are now, the people that you dealt with, if you were to go back and you had, let's say, your ex-girlfriend, especially if y'all left on, you broke up but you didn't leave on bad terms, would they consider you a good man in that time period that you were with them?
I think every woman that I've had as a girlfriend or a real significant other like that would say I'm a good man. They're definitely going to say I have fallacies. I'm not even worried about that. But they're going to say at the core of me that I'm a good man. I believe they'll say that. Now, in my ripping and running times, oh, they're gonna say he's terrible. Like, you know, like I don't even know what kind of charge.
He's
I'm
an
catching
asshole.
with that. Oh, I'm every adjective you can think of, but I know that because
That's what you were doing.
that's what I put out, and that doesn't mean I was a jerk to every single person, but it was like it's different when you're not in a committed relationship.
That's why I said relationship.
Exactly.
That's why I said relationship.
But even if it's not committed or what's the word I'm looking for? Exclusive. You still gotta be who you are, because I also have a group of ladies that would be like, oh yeah, we were never in a relationship, but he's a good guy because such. So it's all subjective. I just don't believe you can endorse yourself as that's
cool. And that's cool. You know, like again, a lot of times that's how people would view it. It's like I'm a good man because I'm doing X, Y, Z. Well, remember when you did A and B and C? You know, that's the difference. That's why I said it's kind of hard to judge it that way. So you're right.
But X, Y, and Z, a lot of times when people, if you can name those things that make you a good person, and if those things are monetary, what you physically, because my thing is, once you say I provide and all this other stuff, that's an umbrella of money. That's all that is. Umbrella of money and resources, things like that. Unless you're talking about the intangible things that makes you a good person, I really don't want to hear it. So, you know, it's all subjective when it boils down.
So with this NBA offseason right now, and sports is kind of stuck in the middle because we're getting ready to go into the NFL season, we're getting a whole lot of what ifs, who is, debates. So primarily with that, we have great scores in the NBA all time, from Dirk Nowitzki to Carmelo Anthony, even to Reggie Miller, Mitch Richmond, all the way up to Kevin Garnett, Julius Erving. But two of the top five.
Kevin Durant, you mean?
Nah, Julius.
You mean Kevin Garnett?
Yeah, great
okay,
scores.
Go ahead.
Scores.
All right, go ahead.
But,
I'm sorry.
but what I'm getting at is we've had a lot of debate over the last few days about who is the greatest scorer in the NBA's history. Kevin Durant just came out with a statement saying that he would have been the greatest scorer of all time in NBA history, if not for injury. And we had a debate as well in BSN in reference to Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, and the great Michael Jordan on who was the greater scorer between the two. You know I gotta ask my man Oshin, on Oshin's view, don't be biased, just be direct.
Oh, okay.
Who is the greatest scorer in NBA history?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Like, it's not even an argument. Like this. That's with an asterisk. And I'm going to say why the asterisk. Because we get it what Wilt did. I'm not going to get into the number of teams he had. Wilt Chamberlain had first off, him and Mike had pretty much the same career. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But I'm putting that asterisk because we already know the numbers that Wilt did in his peak. Nobody's ever duplicated that. Not just the scoring, the rebounding, and all that other stuff. Outside of Wilt Chamberlain, it's clearly Michael Jordan because it's simple. This is my thing. It's a big difference between like what Kevin Durant said, who was my guy, who said I would have been. You have an argument to say that, and I could kind of see where you're going with that. I can even follow you down that rabbit hole, but you got hurt. You weren't available. No fault of yours. Your body just did what it did. This man has 10 scoring titles. First of all, we're never seeing that again. Nobody, because this is why I'm going to say we're never going to see nobody get 10 scoring titles again. First of all, he has 7 in a row. Nobody's going to get 10 because you only have a window of prime to deal with. You see what I'm saying? Like that. When Kevin Durant and James Harden and the Russell Westbrooks of the world, even Allen Iversons, when they were winning these scoring titles, it was back to back to back. You have that window. If your body can stay up, I don't know if you're going to be able to stay in that 30-point range all those years. That's the whole thing. Mike stayed in those 30-point ranges for, like this, he played 15 years in the NBA. 15 years in the NBA, because we're not going to get into a whole lot of numbers, because we're not going to pay it. 50 years in NBA, 10 of those years he was a scoring champion. That ain't happening again. These dudes right now, Kevin Durant and all these dudes is in their 16th and 17th year. They're not getting no more scoring titles. Because that's not even how their games are made up anymore. Because the older you get, that's not even, yes, you're focused, but at that level, you're not doing that consistently anymore after 16 years.
So, and I agree with that. And literally looking at Jordan, coming into his rookie year, he scored 28.
Yes.
After that, because the next year, and we talking about injury, and this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going with Jordan. You break your foot, you don't play a full season, but you come back healthy for the playoff run, and you put on a magnificent show in Boston in defeat, and you had some great games, right?
Just put it out there. I want you to continue. They got swept because you know the naysayers they got swept. Yeah. Go ahead, continue.
So now, after that. And we were talking about scoring. That's what we're primarily talking about.
Yes.
We're not talking about
winning enough to score.
We're talking about scoring. Jordan then goes and wins 7 straight scoring titles. Never averages lower than 30 points. That's impressive. And the reason why I say that is because I'm watching Kobe Bryant when he finally was able to be the number 1 option.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 2 scoring titles.
Just 2.
Just 2.
In a 20-year career.
In 20 years. 2 scoring titles. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
I'm play devil's advocate. Did the competition change during the era of Kobe Bryant compared to that of Michael Jordan? Has it evolved? Because I think that's what it is.
Well, for a fact, we know it's evolved because taller players became more perimeter players at that point. That's why I don't like to get into the whole theory of we know athletically. Just physical, that's just being a human. Human evolution is a real thing. So we already know that this was going to happen. You got 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guys stepping out hitting 3-pointers, all this other stuff. We get all that. But at the end of the day, this is how I always looked at basketball. And some people will say it's a cop-out. I don't care if Greg is a center, but he averages 32 points and he's the leader for his team. If I outscore you, I'm better in terms of scoring. Because it's not about outplaying my position. I outplayed the man on the other team. That's supposed to be, that is the man for them. Charles Barkley averaged, Phoenix Sun, if they played anybody but Chicago Bulls, would have won a championship.
Agreed.
Any other team but the Bulls. Mm-hmm. Charles Barkley played, what did he average? 30 points, about 12 or 13 rebounds, and about 4 assists, 4 or 5 assists like that. Yeah. He was the MVP that year of the league, deservedly. Nobody told Mike to average 41.7, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Like, this is what it took to overcome that. Because normally if you average those kind of numbers, your team is going to win. Simple as that. So this whole, look who you had guarding you. Well, Barkley was still getting 30 and all that. Look who was guarding him. It was clearly nobody of Barkley's stature that was going to stop him. Not even Scottie Pippen. He didn't do anything. He guarded Barkley a few times and it was lunch meat. And Scottie's a great defender. But he's not going to stop no prime Charles Barkley.
Right.
Michael outplayed him. This is what made Barkley say, this is the first time in my life I believe somebody else is better than me. Because he's looking like the numbers I'm putting up normally is good enough to beat everybody else. But this dude went out here and did that. So
it's levels.
It's levels.
And that's what I've been talking about for a while when I get into these sports debates. And people tend to take it like, oh, Fitz don't know what he's talking about. Nah, listen. You have to literally look at how it went. You have to have the eye test as well as the numbers that are in front of your face. So before I go back.
Go real quick because I want you to continue.
All right, go.
First off, I'm going to give you your flowers right in front of you. It ain't too many people that's going to have the sports mind that you have anyway. So anybody that says you don't know what you're talking about, they're talking just because they have a mouth. Literally. They're just talking. And I'm not saying that because you're, say my brother on the show. You know your sports inside and out. Not just basketball, it's football. I've never seen a sport that you can't talk about. So once again, if somebody says you don't know what you're talking about, they're talking or they're typing just because they got fingers. But continue.
So I'm gonna go back into the eye test and the numbers that don't lie. I watched Michael Jordan literally miss 3 seasons. And listen to what I'm getting at when I say 3 seasons. Second year in the league, breaks his foot. He then retires because his father passes away and he plays baseball for a whole season. And then he comes back again midway through, which is really at the back end.
17 games.
In 17 games. So that's the equivalent of missing 3 full seasons. The man still finished 3rd all time when he decided to retire. And he retired 3 times. So let that sink in. As many times as he retired, in his prime, 2 times, he retired. And yet he still finished 3rd all time in scoring.
Bro, no, he's 5th now.
Now, but I'm talking about when he retired. When he retired, he was 3rd behind Karl Malone and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
This is my...
And this is and let me finish this last.
Go ahead.
He played 15 seasons, but like I just said, he literally missed 3. So it's really 12 seasons that he did all his work in. And it's kind of like Barry Sanders in Detroit.
Okay.
When Barry Sanders was getting ready to break the great Jim Brown's record, he literally retired in his prime. And that's what I look at. This is what I look at from Jordan.
Yeah. This is the part that people don't get. Michael Jordan played 1,072 games regular season. 179 games playoffs. Break this down. Look at everybody in NBA history that has played 1,080 games. They're nowhere near the top anything in terms of scoring. Just think about that. 1,000. Look, anybody. You know how many people have played more games than Michael Jordan in an NBA career, and none of those people are in the top 10 at all, except for one person, Wilt. That's it. See, the difference is this: points, cumulative, are great, but when people don't understand how math works and don't understand what average really means, this is when you get all these points. First off, Michael Jordan, the one thing I've been looking for, and maybe you can find it when you get time, I wonder what his peak position was on the scoring list. Because we know he never got to 1 because of Kareem. I know he got as high as 3. So was I can't believe that Karl Malone, I believe his peak position had to be 2 at some point.
His peak position was at 2. Remember, he retired. So when he sat down, Karl Malone creeps up because Karl Malone plays the whole season. So, and then you do it again when you go in 98 and retire, and then you sit out that amount of time. Karl Malone creeps up. So that's why.
So so his peak position was always number 2.
Yes.
No problem. Okay, cool. And I don't know why he figured it out like that. So he did all that, but he gave you 30. Not 20 seasons of 23, because that will clearly be more points over a stretch of time. But it's a difference when somebody walks in the gym and you know they average 30. Not they can get 30. This is what they do every single night.
That's called minimum.
Exactly. And never mind, I'm going to take it a little personal. People that talk about Michael Jordan and all this, he's not the greatest scorer and all this other stuff. Forget Michael Jordan. Let's put a blank face there. You mean to tell me if GD fits, if you average 30 points and you got 10 scoring titles, and they bring up Joe Schmo over here that got 1 or 2 scoring titles, how are y'all even arguing that he's a better scorer than me? Because you wouldn't personally ever say that. The first thing you would say is, I got 10 scoring titles. Are you kidding me? He's got 2. I'm clearly a better scorer. Because then, once you do that, now all the caveats come. Look at your position. And let me tell y'all something else too. And I'm looking at the camera for this one. All this theory about Michael Jordan didn't play against nobody, he played against a whole bunch of great players, guards, and all. Because I watched Michael Jordan play against Mitch Richmond, the great Mitch Richmond.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, thank you. Hall of Fame Mitch Richmond. And give him like 48. Mitch Richmond had about 19 that game. Very next game, Mitch Richmond gave somebody else like 37. Because that's what the difference is. This it's levels. As great as you are, I'm that much greater. And I think the problem is a lot of younger cats, they've never seen Mike. They've seen Kobe. And what has the narrative been? He's the closest thing to him. So they're the same thing. And I'm here to tell people, funny thing about that is, all you Kobe fans, that's Kobe's biggest feather in his hat. Never mind the scoring titles, never mind MVPs. You're the closest thing to that. So when they were saying things like, well, I had a kid tell me one time, inside your cousin's barbershop, well, Kobe Bryant's my Michael Jordan. You know what my answer was? Michael Jordan was my Michael Jordan. Because we ain't never seen nothing like that. Not even with Doc. Oh yeah, we get the dunks and all that stuff, but Doc didn't play the game the way Michael Jordan played the game.
Yeah.
And it's not to disrespect nobody, but...
And I think right there is the key. A lot of people think when they like someone or they're a fan of someone, that when you start talking and debating it, is that you're quote unquote hating. It's not hate. It's just what you've seen. I got a chance to see Michael Jordan play live. And I'm going to tell you the
in
game.
Chicago?
No, I'm going to tell you when I watched him play live.
Go ahead.
Was when he was with Washington against Tracy McGrady when McGrady was killing the league scoring. I'll never forget this game because it was a showcase of two elite scorers. I think McGrady dropped 60 in that game. But Jordan put up 37 in that game. And the way that they did it, it was like, damn, yo, Jordan's 40 years old. And he is giving Tracy McGrady everything. Prime Tracy McGrady. Orlando Tracy McGrady. Who was getting buckets with ease, like coming down the court, pulling, hitting threes, mid-ranges, dunking. McGrady doing his thing. But Michael Jordan is staying with prime Tracy McGrady.
At 40.
At 40. Putting in work. In D.C. And the Wizards won the game. That was the crazy shit. The Wizards won the game. McGrady hit the last shot of the game that gave him 61. I think he finished with 61.
Okay.
McGrady hit the shot. It was a long three, but they lost by 2. But it was a good game. And I'm sitting there like, damn, I got to watch old Michael Jordan still do young Michael Jordan things. This is what you mean by going and giving you 30. And you know it.
See, the thing about that, because I remember that game, I wasn't at the one, I got a Wizard story too. I would look at a game like that like this. Tracy McGrady had a 61 or whatever. I tend to believe prime Michael Jordan, you ain't getting 61. That's the other part of that. You ain't getting 61. I'm getting 50. You ain't getting 61. You say it like that. And Michael was like, yeah, I got him. Because now, Tracy, you gotta play defense now too. But now you playing against prime Mr. 6'6", lightning fast, first step, getting to the hole, finishing above the rim. You know what I'm saying? Through contact and everything. I'm gonna tell you my Michael Jordan story with the Wizards. They were playing against the Utah Jazz. Quincy Lewis, remember him? Minnesota. Michael Jordan had 45. And it seems like all he did was come from one box to the next box. And quick shiver shape move, pull up. Swish, swish, swish. And it was so crazy. At one point he had 7 straight. And the announcer was like, Michael Jordan, this is a recording. And the whole arena just bust out laughing. And all I kept thinking was, wow, prime him, this might have been 78. Like, it would have been that much more electric. These perimeter players now are great. They got a lot of things with them. I see some things in them that I'm like, because this is the thing about it. Michael Jordan, let's put it out there. The Bulls and Michael Jordan went through their rough patch. They weren't winning games. They weren't super competitive. But I know for a fact, 1,072 games 179 games of Michael Jordan playing with the Bulls. I gotta skip for a second. My high school coach told us one time, we were talking about sports, and this was in 92. Prime Mike, right after the chip. He goes like this. We was like, my coach stopped us because we were talking some nonsense, but we was going. Right before practice, my coach said, let me tell y'all something like this. He said, Michael Jordan's never had a bad game in his life. So we was like, I raised my hand, I said, Coach, I watched him miss this many shots. He went like 9 for 30 or 10, whatever the number was. He was like, my coach was like, do you hit every shot when you play? I said, no. He said, I never said you can't have an off day shooting. But he said, playing hard never has a bad game. He said, I've never watched a game and said, Michael Jordan is out there not even trying. And that's, to me, his biggest thing. And I've seen too many of these great stars now. I can list games where some of the greatest players that we have now that I'm looking like, oh, you didn't even show up this game. I'm not even going to mention he whose name shall not be spoken, but I watched Kevin Durant shrink. I watched Steph Curry shrink. I watched LJ shrink. I watched all these dudes shrink in the moments. And I'm not just talking about missing shots. Shrink. I don't want the ball. Not playing hard. Not playing defense. Give up. But I'm going to tell you who's that cut from that cloth. Giannis. Giannis shows up every game.
Think so?
I don't think, unless Giannis is hurt, he shows up.
Okay, that's the key.
I'm talking about because a lot of his game is predicated on physicality. So if he can't get as physical with you as he wants, now that he has an improved jump shot, he'll try to lean on that. But when he's physically, like I expect, like this, he's always going to be in that defensive and MVP type of race. Because Giannis shows up every game. Like, I don't watch his games and be like, he ain't even try. He shows up every game, win or lose.
And he does. He does. So I'm gonna flip it because it's kind of obvious. We both agree that Michael Jordan is the greatest scorer all time.
Go ahead.
I honestly think Jordan is the greatest player all time. I think you in the same occurrence with me. But let's go to some current stuff real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask this question: your top 5 NBA players in the league right now today.
No particular order.
No order.
No particular order. Kevin Durant, Giannis, Joker, Luka, and I'm gonna go with Joel.
Okay, that's good. That's not
I'm
bad.
going with them.
So for me, and I would put LeBron up there, but I'm gonna kind of use LeBron as the how they said legacy when he say he's stamped. We know
he's an asterisk. I don't. That
we know he is. So
it's put this. I can't. The reason why I'm not putting LeBron is because it's nothing he can do to change my mind about him. He's already solidified to me.
Yeah, you know
he's
what
already
he
solidified. I know what he's gonna do, what he's not. He is who he is.
Right.
So
I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go Greek, Jokic, Embiid, Chef,
okay,
and Luka. And the reason I don't have KD in the top 5 is because of what he literally just said himself. Injury. And even though Chef gets hurt, it's a different kind of dynamic in Golden State.
I can go for that.
Whereas with Kevin Durant, because of the pieces that he's been playing around over the last 3 years, notice what I said.
Yes.
The last 3 years, the pieces that he's been playing with, they kind of save him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, take a break, but we're okay because we can be 500. But if Curry is out in Golden State, they tend to fall down.
I want to pick your brain, son, because I know we're doing rapid fire. Jalen Brown got his money. To me, that was crazy. And I don't want to say I'm hating on the man, because you know what I get, why you hating on the man? No. This is the thing. It's a stigma that comes with it. For me, when somebody gives you $304 million, that's telling me you are a top 5 player in the league. And I can tell you this, and I'm going to make a bold statement. That man will not make a first team in the next 5 years.
Ooh, okay. So now this is what I'm gonna say on that.
That's a FanDuel bet that I'll be willing to put.
Okay. Now this is my thing. we talk about evolution. That's the business evolution. Money that we see now at $300 million, that in our eyes is like Kevin Garnett when he was the big ticket and he got that crazy big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we never seen numbers like that.
Facts.
We never seen numbers when Alonzo Mourning got his big contract with Miami, right? So it's like, yo, what's going on? It's 2023, y'all, going into 2024. That is the standard quo of the money.
Yeah.
Now, for me, if I'm a GM and I got Jason Tatum and I got Jaylen Brown and I know Tatum is up next, Tatum is better, in my opinion, than Jaylen Brown.
He was just first team the last 2 years. Jaylen Brown is not going to make a first team for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
His lift of his extension, he will not. This is not hating on him. I'm looking at who's in the league.
Yep.
He is not going to make a first team All NBA. Put this, and if he does, then Boston will win a championship. Because that means you must have went to a level that we haven't seen you go to.
So now let's look at it, because he's a shooting guard.
Yes.
We know they're not going to change it and say, oh, we're going to just take all guards on the NBA first team.
Exactly.
So Devin Booker will be ahead of him. Luka will be ahead of him.
Luka's definitely, he's a staple.
I think that when John Morant is on the court, he's going to be ahead of him because of impact for his team. I'm just using players as guards.
No, this is what I'm saying.
Trae Young as well.
You can go down the list, and I know you can. I'm just going like this. He's not going, because to be in that means you're a top 5 player. He's not going to be a top 5 player in the next 5 years.
Right.
He's going to be a very good player.
So
he might even hit second or third team. I can see him on a third team. I don't even see him on the second team.
It's crazy, right, that you came up with this, because literally you must have been picking my brain, because this is what I was actually going to do on the show this week. We were going to talk about second stars getting first player money.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel as though Anthony Davis kind of got the same thing with a 3-year, $175 million extension. So it's like you paying these second guys number one money, while still having number one money having to be spent on your number one.
I ask you though, I know you're an LA guy. If Anthony Davis is healthy, he will be in the first team.
Yes.
That's the difference. His issue isn't ability. Anthony Davis is healthy, he's first team All NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried. I hear what you're saying with that, and I agree with it. But he's a different kind of asterisk. Because if he's healthy, he's definitely a top 5 player in the world.
Right. And shout out to my man Dip over on Taz TV 410. Again, we tend to promote all of our podcasts.
We show love.
Brothers.
We show
all the love.
Exactly.
So he was the one that brought it up in reference to these contracts. And I'm like, it's nothing wrong with Anthony Davis' deal, because he is a top 5 guy. We've seen him be all NBA first team.
Yes.
We know what he can do when he's healthy. We're still waiting on Jaylen Brown to get there. And for them to give him $304, and you still have yet to pay Tatum, that tells me Tatum gotta be at $350 minimum.
I saw something today where they said Shai Gilchrist
might be the first $400 million.
I said, I gotta be crazy. But I didn't get mad at it because, like you said,
it's 2023 going to 2024.
This is where we go. So all you brothers out there getting your money straight, nobody's hating on it. But when I look at the games and y'all not showing up the way y'all supposed to show up and y'all making this big money, I'm going to be there to say something about it. This is another episode of Ocean's View, BSN GD Fitz in the building. Shout out to Taz TV. See you next week.